I'm gonna play the heel and like cover. I don't want to cover Ospreay, but I'm gonna give an alternative point of view.
Okay.
Right. So I'm a college wrestler, right? When I was 20, I herniated. This is what I'm looking at, by the way. These are slip. This is clearly a C5, C6 slip disc, and it looks like it slipped pretty bad on this MRI. I slipped a disc in C5, C6. And I remember I lifted a guy up for a mat return, which I guess in wrestling, we just like pro wrestling, it's like you pick the dude up and you bring him down on his hands and knees, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did that and my arm went numb from the shoulder to the fingertip and it came back, right? Then I started feeling like I was, ooh, that was scary. And it kept happening more and more frequently. And I got a long story about that, but I'll just cut to the chase. One day in practice, I went to clear an underhook and it went numb and it didn't come back. Right? Like my arm was pretty much like I got the feeling back, but it was like dead. And I tried to wrestle like a real, like, an amateur wrestling match with a dead arm and I couldn't do anything. Right. And I went and saw a doctor and they wanted to fuse it together. And my physical our trainer at Northern Illinois was like, no, you're only 20. We don't do that to kids. So I was in rehab for about 3 or 4 months. And it was work, man. A slip disc can be super, super serious. And Paul Orndorff back in the 80s slipped a disc in his neck during his rivalry with Hulk Hogan at the absolute pinnacle of his career when he was making the most money and they were selling out. Oh, I forget the name of that. I forget the name of the big outdoor arena that took the place of the Sky Dome, but they sold that thing out in the summer of 86. Yeah, 86. And he didn't take any time off until the program was finished. And his arm never was the same. Like it atrophied crazy. Like even when you watch him in his comeback in WCW in the early 90s, his left arm is significantly smaller than his right arm. So that you can do a lot of damage. And I wound up, I took those 3 months off. I came back bigger, stronger, and healthier than I was before. But it was years, like a good decade and a half, where I would still have issues with my neck. And it's only been as I got older and smarter about, stretching and training smart that I haven't had, knock on wood, any problems with my neck. So, I mean, like disc issues in your spine, like I get it, you're on top, but you're going to severely, especially with the style we expect from Will Ospreay, you're going to severely, shorten your career if you don't take care of this stuff. And there's being tough and there's being smart. And I think that, despite whatever else is going on, there's a lot of jokes going. I saw a joke online. Someone said, "B. Priestley just destroyed the New Japan, the IWGP title lineage." Haha. But I mean, like for real, this neck is in bad shape. And if the country and the government and the company aren't going to be upfront and honest with these guys, I don't know, man. You might as well take the time and heal.
I think you made a lot of great points because there is injuries, especially wrestling or combat injuries, unless you've had specific injuries, it's hard to kind of relate not only the pain that you feel, but like what possibly could happen. And I'm sure Ospreay has issues, and this might be a good time for him to rest up. On the other hand, I know not only from living in Japan, but from competing in jiu-jitsu in Japan, that idea, the dojo mentality of no matter what, you suck it up, and which can be unhealthy. And
it's incredibly, and then we have the same mentality here in the U.S. or stuff. Which if they joked with me, I remember 20 years ago, they're joking with me that, hey man, if you'd have just taken 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks off when this first happened, you probably would have been back at the end of the year instead of missing, 3/4 of the season, right?
But on the other hand, we're guys. We grew up in a certain time.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna, I can't sugarcoat it. Those 3 weeks, you don't want your team to be calling you a big sissy.
Absolutely. And when I got hurt, I didn't tell a story. I'll do this one. When I got hurt, my dad took that night that I had the bad match and I couldn't move my arm. My dad took me out to dinner and he's like, something's wrong. You need to go to a doctor. This isn't you. So I did. And I missed a couple of days of practice and we had another meet. And I told my coach, I have to see a doctor. And he looked me in the eye and said, I'm very disappointed with you. And I was like a mess after that because I was just craving this man's approval my whole life, And then when I came back with my diagnosis, he apologized because, again, you have that, as a coach, you always think that your kids aren't as hurt as they say they are, right? I've been through it too on the other side. And when a kid, because I got kids now, they're complete badasses, but I mean, when they get a boo-boo, it's like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. And the boy cries wolf enough, you don't believe him. Right.
Right.
And I never thought I was like that as an athlete, but I guess after a while as a coach, you become numb to those things. And you do have that mentality of, well, you suck it up. And I am of the mind that the grind mentality grinds you up. And I just have a different perspective on this now, rearing young athletes, and, we want them to push through and persevere. But at the same time, like Will Ospreay is not even 30, right?
Mm.
Do we want, like, is he shuttering out the biggest opportunity as in his career? Absolutely. But if he doesn't take care of this, I mean, like, if this is actually his MRI and this is real, and I'm gonna trust the man that it is, this disc looks way worse than mine. Like, I think I said when I got hurt my neck, like something ridiculous, like 50% of like males have a slipped or herniated disc,
Huh.
but they aren't problematic until they become symptomatic. And when they become symptomatic, they need to be treated because it's the neck. You mess up your neck, you could be paralyzed.
It
That's
holds
the
everything
truth.
together in the right place.
Right. Right. And neck, like I said, I'm very touchy when it comes to necks. Like, I have one chiropractor. I've seen him since I was 20 years old, and he's the only guy I'm going to let touch my neck. Right. I got a bad neck. So I sympathize with him on this. I don't want to see him not wrestling at 40 because, he had this opportunity in, let's be honest, the worst era of the company since, Enochiism. Like, it's not, he was the highlight. He was absolutely the highlight this year. Despite what you think about Will Ospreay, his matches were fantastic this year. Definitely the MVP of the company. But if the man can't move his arms in 5 years, what is it worth?